She doesn't belong here. This isn't the charity section. She switched seats with someone. She's trying to freeload. All heads turned. A poor single mother is humiliated in first class, until the captain reveals a shocking truth that unravels a decades-old corporate lie and changes her life forever. But before we start the video, let us know where you're watching this video, and if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe Story Storer, and please share your thoughts about this story in comment section. A loud, sneering voice sliced through the calm of the first-class cabin. "Excuse me, what is she doing here?" Heads turned. A sharply dressed man, Miles Hampton, reeking of cologne and entitlement, stood pointing at a modestly dressed woman seated in 1A, her toddler asleep in her arms. "She doesn't belong in first class. Just look at her clothes. Look at her shoes," Miles sneered, waving his champagne glass like a sword. The woman, Ayla Monroe, held her child tighter and said nothing. Her cheeks flushed, but she stayed still, eyes low. Miles stepped into the aisle. "She clearly snuck up here. I paid $3,000 for this seat, and now I'm breathing the same air as a street mother." Gasps murmured through the cabin. A flight attendant approached nervously. "Ma'am, may I see your boarding pass?" Ayla trembled as she handed it over. The attendant glanced down and blinked. "Seat 1A." But Miles snatched it from her hand. "She probably found this on the floor. Call security. She's a scammer." Ayla's lips parted. Her voice almost came out, but the humiliation strangled it. Then, the cockpit door opened. Out stepped Captain Ethan Cole, tall, composed, and clearly furious. He looked straight at Miles, then at Ayla, then at the child asleep on her shoulder. Silence. Everyone stared. Captain Cole's voice was calm, but thunderous in meaning. "She saved my daughter's life." Miles froze. The cabin went dead quiet. Murmurs rose like a tide. Ayla's eyes widened, but the captain didn't break gaze. And just like that, the story took off. Faster than the plane that carried them. The silence after the captain's words was deafening. Ayla stared at him, stunned. Her fingers gripped the blanket wrapped around her child. Saved his daughter's life? Whispers rippled through the first-class cabin. Miles faltered, then scoffed, forcing a laugh. "Is this some kind of emotional blackmail? I'm sorry, but I doubt a woman dressed like that is anyone's hero." Captain Cole ignored him. His eyes never left Ayla. "Miss Monroe, please accept my personal apology for this disgraceful behavior." The flight attendant, now red-faced, stepped back. Miles turned red too, but not from shame, from confusion. "Wait, who is she?" he asked again, this time with less venom, more unease, but Ayla still hadn't said a word. She finally stood up, slowly, gently, shifting her sleeping son into a cradle made from her coat and the cabin blanket. Her voice came low and steady. "I didn't want attention. I just needed to get my son home." That one sentence felt like a needle to the heart. Captain Cole turned to the passengers. "You'll all learn who she is soon enough. But let me say this. If not for her, my family wouldn't be whole." The entire cabin seemed to hold its breath. Outside the window, clouds rushed past. Inside, no one knew. This flight had just become more than a journey. It was a reckoning. Miles sank into his seat, defeated, but still watching Ayla like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. The rest of the cabin tried to act normal, but whispers flew behind napkins and coffee cups. Everyone wanted to know, who was this woman Captain Cole defended so fiercely? Ayla remained quiet, her eyes fixed on her child's peaceful face. But inside, her heart raced. She hadn't expected this. She never wanted the past to follow her here. Yet now, it had flown in at 30,000 feet. Captain Cole leaned closer. "Does he know?" he asked gently, motioning to the child. Ayla's breath caught in her throat. She shook her head. "He's too young, and it's not safe yet." That one exchange made Miles shift in his seat. Not safe yet? What did that mean? Suddenly, a new voice entered the cabin. An older flight attendant whispered something in Captain Cole's ear. He nodded gravely, then turned to Ayla. "Someone at the gate tried to cancel your ticket, Ayla." Gasps. Miles looked up sharply. "What? That's absurd. Why would someone do that?" Ayla didn't flinch. She merely whispered, "Because they thought I was gone for good." And now she was back. Not just on this flight, but in a world that tried to erase her. And that world was about to be exposed. Captain Cole walked swiftly toward the cockpit, but not before giving Ayla a reassuring nod. Ayla adjusted her son's blanket, trying to steady her thoughts. She had boarded this flight quietly, anonymously. Someone knew she was coming, and they had tried to stop her. Miles watched her more carefully now, like a man realizing he might have picked a fight with a ghost from the headlines. He reached for his tablet and searched her name. Ayla Monroe. No hits. Nothing recent. Nothing at all. But Ayla noticed. She leaned forward and said softly, "You won't find me online?" Miles smirked. "Of course not. Ghosts don't leave footprints." Her smile was faint. Neither do people who were erased. Before he could reply, the intercom chimed. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Cole. Due to a small issue with the manifest, we'll be making an unexpected stop for verification procedures. No need for concern." But concern exploded across the cabin. Ayla's heart dropped. "A stop?" she whispered to herself. "They're trying again." Miles narrowed his eyes. "Who's they, Ayla?" She turned slowly to face him. "The people who built their empire on a lie and buried me to protect it." Suddenly, this flight wasn't about comfort. It was about survival. The announcement sent a ripple of unease through the cabin. Ayla clenched her fists under the tray table. This unexpected stop wasn't just about paperwork. It was about her. She knew it. Someone had discovered she was on this flight, and they were moving fast. Captain Cole reappeared minutes later, whispering urgently to the head flight attendant. Papers were exchanged. Tension crackled in the air like static. Miles leaned in, his smugness fading. "What kind of empire are you talking about? Who are you?" Ayla turned, calm but defiant. "The kind you inherit without earning it. The kind built by men like your father." Miles blinked. "My... what?" But before he could press further, the pilot's voice came over the intercom again. "We'll be landing briefly in Aspen. Please remain seated." Ayla's pulse spiked. Aspen was where it had all started and ended. The laboratory, the trial, the fake headline declaring her dead. She looked out the window. Snow-covered peaks approached like memories rising from the past. Her son stirred. Ayla held him tighter, whispering, "We're going home, baby." Miles stared at her like he was watching a ghost come alive. And somewhere deep inside the plane's data logs, someone else was watching too. Because Ayla Monroe wasn't supposed to exist anymore. The plane descended toward Aspen, the snowy mountains growing larger with every second. Passengers murmured nervously, the quiet hum of the engines now charged with tension. Ayla sat rigid, clutching her son. Memories flooded her mind. The cold, sterile lab where they tried to erase her existence. The courtrooms where lies became law, and the day she vanished from the world's view. Captain Cole returned to her side quietly. "We're all rooting for you, Ayla," he said softly. "I owe my daughter to you. No one will hurt you here." Ayla nodded, grateful but wary. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Meanwhile, Miles was scrolling through his tablet, piecing together fragments of her past from whispers, rumors, and buried articles. His confidence had shifted into something darker. Curiosity, confusion, maybe even regret. The plane landed, the wheels hitting the icy tarmac with a harsh screech. Security boarded swiftly, eyes scanning the passengers. Ayla's heart hammered. She knew some faces, shadows from the past, people who wanted her to disappear again. A voice crackled over the intercom. Due to security protocols, no one is allowed to leave or board without clearance. Her child stirred again, and Ayla whispered, "Hold on, we're almost safe." But safety was an illusion, because in Aspen, the past wasn't buried. It was waiting, ready to strike. As the plane sat on the snowy tarmac, Ayla's mind raced. The security officer's sharp eyes scanned every passenger like hunters tracking prey. She could feel the weight of their suspicion pressing down on her. Miles, no longer mocking, leaned forward and said quietly, "You're not just any passenger, are you? What's really going on?" Ayla met his gaze, the truth burning behind her tired eyes. "I'm a target. For years, they tried to erase me because I uncovered something dangerous, something that could topple a powerful corporation." Suddenly, a sharp knock on the plane's door jolted everyone. Two stern-faced men in suits stepped in, flashing badges. "Miss Monroe, please come with us for questioning." Ayla tightened her grip on her son. Captain Cole stood firm. "She's under my protection. No one moves without my permission." But the men ignored him, stepping closer. The cabin buzzed with whispered panic. Miles looked at Ayla, disbelief turning into concern. "What are they afraid of?" She swallowed hard. "My silence could cost lives." With a sudden decision, Ayla rose, carrying her son close. "We're not going anywhere without answers." As the door prepared to open, Ayla's eyes locked on the snowy mountains beyond, the same mountains that held secrets she was determined to expose. The chase had only just begun. The two men in suits advanced slowly, their expressions unreadable. Captain Cole stepped forward, voice firm. "I'm responsible for everyone on this flight. If you want Ayla Monroe, you'll have to go through me." The men exchanged glances. Then one said, "Captain, this is a serious matter involving national security." Ayla's heart pounded. National security? The stakes were higher than she imagined. Passengers watched, breath held, as tension thickened like the cold air outside. Suddenly, Ayla stood tall. "I'm not running anymore. If you want the truth, you'll hear it from me." She glanced down at her sleeping son and back to the men. "For years, I uncovered illegal experiments disguised as medical research. Powerful people covered it up. They tried to silence me by making me disappear." A murmur rippled through the cabin. Miles stared in shock. The men hesitated. The lead agent's eyes narrowed. "You've put lives at risk." Ayla shook her head. "Number." The silence put lives at risk, including my son's. Captain Cole's voice broke through. "This flight isn't just a journey, it's a chance to right wrongs." The plane's door opened, and cold mountain air swept in. Ayla stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next, because some truths, no matter the cost, must be told. The chill from the open door seemed to freeze the tension for a moment. Just then, a figure appeared in the doorway, a woman in a sharp suit, her presence commanding the cabin's attention. "Enough," she said calmly, her voice steady but powerful. "I'm Special Agent Harper. I've been tracking this case for months." Ayla's breath caught. Harper stepped inside, glancing at the two men who had been advancing on her. "These men," Harper said, "are part of a faction trying to bury the truth. They don't speak for the government." Passengers exchanged confused looks. Miles, now fully invested, leaned forward. Harper continued. Ayla Monroe's information is crucial. We need her help to expose the conspiracy. Ayla stared at Harper, uncertainty swirling in her eyes. Captain Cole nodded. You're safe with us. The agents who tried to detain Ayla now backed away, scowling but obeying orders. Miles whispered, So, this isn't just about a ticket or a flight, it's a battlefield. Ayla looked down at her son and then back at Harper. If I help you, Ayla said quietly, I want protection. For him and me. Harper smiled faintly. Agreed. As the plane prepared for takeoff, Ayla realized the journey had become far more dangerous and important than she ever imagined. The plane lifted off again, leaving Aspen's snowy mountains behind. Ayla sat beside Captain Cole and Special Agent Harper, the tension replaced by cautious determination. Harper opened a secure tablet, revealing files and photos. This isn't just about experiments. It's about a secret network hiding behind corporations, governments, even airlines. Miles, now fully awake to the reality, swallowed hard. So, this flight is part of something bigger? Ayla nodded. They want to control information. Silence anyone who threatens them. That's why they erased me. Harper pointed to a photo. This is your son's father, Daniel. He was involved, but he wanted out. That's why you disappeared. Ayla's eyes widened. Daniel, her past, her pain, her hope. Miles looked between them, understanding now the weight she carried. Suddenly, the cabin lights flickered. An alert flashed on Harper's tablet. Someone's trying to hack the plane's controls, she warned. Captain Cole's fingers flew over the cockpit's console. Hold on, we're not letting this end in disaster. Ayla clutched her son tightly. They're desperate. Miles swallowed again. This fight isn't just about truth, it's about survival. The plane shuddered, but the captain's steady voice calmed everyone. This battle was far from over. The plane steadied, but the atmosphere was electric with unease. Harper's eyes never left the tablet. The hackers aren't just after control, they want to silence Ayla permanently. Miles, shaken, asked, Who would do this? Who's behind it? Ayla's voice was quiet but fierce. People who built their wealth on secrets, those who fear what I know. Suddenly, a sharp ping sounded from the cockpit. Captain Cole frowned. Incoming communication, unknown source. Harper intercepted, listening closely. A cold voice crackled through the speakers. This flight carries more than passengers. Hand over Ayla Monroe or we'll bring the plane down. A gasping silence swept the cabin. Miles looked at Ayla, eyes wide. What now? Ayla clenched her jaw. Now we fight. Captain Cole's hands tightened on the controls. We're changing course, heading to a secure airbase. Harper activated encrypted channels, coordinating with authorities on the ground. Ayla whispered to her son, Stay close, little one. We're almost safe. But in the shadows of the cockpit, a shocking truth emerged. One of the trusted crew wasn't who they seemed to be. The plane touched down on the secure airbase with a tense rumble. Inside the cabin, every eye was fixed on Ayla. Suddenly, Captain Cole stood and faced the passengers. His voice rang, clear and commanding. This woman saved my daughter's life. A hush fell. Miles blinked, stunned. Ayla's eyes widened, searching his face. Cole continued, She was not a threat. She's a hero. The agents who'd pursued her lowered their weapons, confusion replacing hostility. Special Agent Harper stepped forward. We've uncovered the conspiracy. Corrupt executives, falsified data, cover-ups. Ayla's evidence will bring them down. Miles approached Ayla slowly. I misjudged you. You're braver than anyone I know. Ayla smiled softly, feeling the weight lift. Her son stirred, and she hugged him tightly. Outside, reporters swarmed, eager for the truth. Ayla stepped to the microphone, her voice steady. The truth was hidden for too long, but no lie can survive the light. Miles stood beside her, now an ally, not an enemy. Captain Cole's 5 words echoed in her mind, the unexpected lifeline she never expected. Sometimes all it takes is the right words at the right time to change everything.